My name is Sebastian Ketlicik, and I'm the creator of Quince.
My name is Kit Steinkellner, and I'm the writer of Quince.
And I'm Emma Steinkellner, and I'm the illustrator of Quince.
Quince is a story of a young girl named Lupe who gets superpowers at her quinceañera. But she only has those powers while she's 15. So over the course of a year, she has to figure out how to use her powers through the help of her abuela. And ultimately, she discovers what it means to be a hero.
What is so special is Lupe herself, which I think is funny because I think she doesn't think she's special at all, at least up top. I think she considers herself quite ordinary and is quite hard on herself, and realizes over the course of this year in which she has superpowers that she does have real strengths, strengths that predated her superpowers. I think her heart and her kindness and the way she's able to love other people and put her own insecurities aside to help people when they need help. Those are things that were always a part of who she was and are really qualities that are both strengthened and tested over the course of this year. But it's, I think she is not someone that thinks she is special prior to this extraordinary event happening to her, but I think she always has been special and kind of learns over the course of the year just how special she is and has always been.
What makes Quince special to me is that it is such a personal story, and that that it does deal with our culture and heritage, and in a very positive way. That was something that was important, was a very positive depiction of a family and of a young girl, and that my nieces and other young girls like that can see themselves in this comic book. And it's also really special because I think that only through these three people working on it does it reach its full potential, and I'm so excited by that and so thankful for that.
Yeah.
So Quince started a few years ago. I knew I wanted to do a project that focused on and celebrated my family's heritage and culture, but I wasn't sure what the project was going to be. And around that time, my wife and I found ourselves at numerous Quinces, and as I sat through each one of them, I thought about when I was 15 and how I just wanted to disappear. I could not be the center of attention like that. And I started thinking about all the emotions that they must be going through at one time, which reminded me of cartoons that I grew up on, like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the X-Men, where in moments of heightened emotion, characters get their superpowers. And I thought there's no more heightened moment than what I'm watching right now. And wouldn't it be so intense if on top of all of that, they also got superpowers in this moment? And Quince is such a specifically cultural event, and it's about coming of age and transition, so everything just seemed right about that. And then, not too long after that, I was hanging out with my nieces and watching them run around the living room dressed as superheroes, like Supergirl and Batgirl. And I thought, that's awesome because I love superheroes. We can bond over this. Superheroes are universal. That's great. But then my next thought was, wouldn't it also be awesome if they had more superheroes that looked like them, that there was more representation in the superhero genre, and that they could see a character that reflected themselves, both in a mask and once the mask comes off and the character goes home to a family life, that was something that they could recognize. And that was where it became really personal and where I felt like, okay, this is the project, this is what needs to be done. So because I wanted the project to be the best that it could possibly be, the next step was sort of putting my own ego aside and realizing that the best way to do that was through two incredibly talented collaborators. And I'd been a big fan of Kit's already. We had done some experimental weird art theater stuff.
Weird art theater.
And so I knew her as a
That's
playwright and as a poet. And she had also done Aces with Emma. So I knew she did high school with diverse cast. And I knew we could get along. I respected her. And I had not met Emma yet at that point, but I knew her through Kit. And I was familiar with Aces. I got to watch her artwork grow over Aces. She provided a pinup for another project, Penguins vs. Possums. And as I was going through those old pinups and thinking about Kit, it was like a lightning bolt moment. And I was like, okay, this is the team. This is what it needs to be. I ran over to my computer, typed up an email, and then I just sent it and prayed that they would say yes.
It's just so funny to me there was ever any doubt that we would say yes. You've heard me say this a million times, but it is one of the best emails I've ever received. I got it immediately. I felt like a gift had landed in my inbox. I was so honored and excited, and I didn't have all the ideas yet, but immediately the wheels in my head began to turn, and I just got so excited about this idea and immediately wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, it was completely irresistible. I at that point had never done any kind of superhero comics. That had never been a part of my illustration career.
Have you done any since?
I've done one. Quince. Check it out. It's really good. And it was exciting and scary, but I definitely felt more secure doing it with Sebastian and Kent.
Yeah, it was interesting. When I wrote the ending to the comic, it made me cry. And I felt really like such a self-indulgent artist in that moment, crying over my own ending. But then when I sent it to Sebastian and Emma, they both told me they got teary at the ending as well. And Barbara said something similar when we ended up sending the finished version to her. And then I've gotten that feedback from many readers that the ending makes them cry. So I think a moment that originally to me I was almost embarrassed about, that felt self-indulgent to me, ended up being catharsis that through the writing and through the finished product of the comic, we were really able to pass along to readers. And that's just the coolest feeling as an artist, that a really powerful feeling you felt creating what you created is being received by readers.
I have a couple favorite experiences.
Yeah.
For responses to Quince. My nieces, who were a big inspiration, loved it, and so that was very satisfying. My mom, who has always been supportive, this was a project that felt special. Her response to it was immediate. I hadn't told her what we were doing, and then when the press release came out, she right away was messaging me, and she was so excited. She was like, "I'm glad that you're doing something that does focus on our heritage and our culture, and I can't wait to read it." And then when it came out, she read it, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I could have been that young girl. I wish there was a book like this when I was a young girl." So that was extremely meaningful and powerful. And the only other response that I'll say, which is actually not mine, it was Barbara's, our publisher, but she, I believe it was Free Comic Book Day, a young girl came up, and for Free Comic Book Day, we had released just issue 1, but in English and in Spanish. And the young girl got it and was able to share that with her parents or grandparents. And the book is so generational. That was a really important and amazing thing, because that is the hope, especially releasing issues in Spanish, was that it could be shared among family members. So that was something that was really amazing.
Truthfully, every time we have like a 12-year-old kid come up to us at a con, whether they have already read Quince or whether they like just picked it up and they're like, "I'm looking at this cover and I am sold," because you can't judge a book by its cover, but I do sometimes believe you can love a book by its cover. And sometimes we have these girls on the precipice of becoming a teenager who are just like, "I need this book right now," and it makes me very, very happy. So I guess that is probably the fan community response that has touched me the most. Also, we had one person cosplay as Lupe, and that was the best.
Oh yeah.
That was the best.
I will say also, it's so much fun being at a convention or a signing and seeing a line that consists of a white guy in his 50s and a parent with 2 daughters, ages 8 and 12, and a couple of girls in their 30s. We really do have a wide range of readers. And I think that's because, one of my favorite types of films is like a Disney Pixar film, where it's not weird to be a 6-year-old in that audience, and it's also not weird to be a 75-year-old in that audience. It really is storytelling that is funny and exciting and universal and really is for everybody. And I think we actually have created that in Quince, and I'm so proud of creating a story that can be enjoyed by so many people.